quick introduction here. So I appreciate everyone joining. My name is Rachel. So I'm actually one of the customer success managers over here at Trainual. I've been here for about 3 years now. And if you're not familiar with the term customer success manager, well, basically what I do, I work with all of our customers 50 and above. So that can be 50 people, that can be all the way up to thousands of people. So a lot of work over here directly inside people's accounts every day. That said, I actually saw some of my people in the chat earlier today. So if you are one of my people, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited that you're here. We do have another customer success manager. So if you're not familiar with me, you probably know Will. You might have done some work with him as well. And then if you're not above 50 people, then you might be familiar with Shawn, our success coach. So I'll go ahead and toss it over to Shawn to introduce himself.
Hey, everybody. Glad to see you here. This is Shawn Jensen. Yeah, senior success coach over here. So if you are not acquainted with the success coaches yet, I'll let you know what we do. So we work with our customers, again, under 50 users, and do basically help you to get to know Trainual, help you get it up and rolling. And we do some specialty things like help you take your content and turn it into mega awesome stuff for your team members to use. So that's something that I do. Also, my partner, Rach, who is also on here to kind of provide some support. So hello, Rach. Glad you're here. You've probably seen Rach on the training and QA live session if you popped into that one. So here we are. That's what we do on our end. I'm going to be here on the back end, just kind of supporting Rachel, answering your questions in the chat. And hey, this is one thing we want to really hear from you during this entire session. So as Rachel does the extreme makeover, I'm going to be answering your questions. If you've got things you want to see or anything you want to add or ideas, please pop those into the chat all the way through the session. We'll be happy to entertain those and make sure we answer those questions best we can. All right. So with that said, back over to you, Rachel. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Shawn. All right. So we are super excited to do this extreme makeover session for you all today. So you might be wondering, how did this come to be? Well, essentially what we did is we actually sent out an application to all of our customers and we were like, hey, which one of you want to have your account extreme made over live today, right? So we want to give a huge congratulations to Hannah Interpreters for letting us renovate your entire account. So Hannah Interpreters is a team of about 60 or so people. They're actually based out of San Diego and were started in 2010 by a mother and son duo in an effort to help people using language and technology to bridge communication gaps. So they actually started their account, like many of us, at the beginning of the pandemic, because having all of their employees working from home was not something they had previously planned for. So they kind of dumped all of their policies, existing trainings, processes in there. And now they're kind of at the point where they're like, hey, this works, but maybe we can do some reorganization. Maybe we can really beef this thing up and make it an end-to-end training, onboarding processes, everything all in one spot. So that is what we're going to be focusing on today. We talked about a few of them already, but just a couple of housekeeping things. So we are actually working in the top tier of Trainual today. If you see something, you're like, hey, that's a new button. Haven't seen that one before. That may or may not be why. We will walk through the how, the why, everything you need to know on how to do this so that you can actually go and do this in your account right after this if you feel so inclined. And Shawn mentioned it a little bit earlier, but please use the Q&A. We want this to be fun. We want to feel like we're in this room with you. We really want to interact. So toss it in there. We want to answer your questions. It makes it more fun, not only for us, but also for everybody here, because if you're thinking that question, I can guarantee somebody else is too. So go ahead and toss those questions in there. Without further ado, let's go ahead and pop into our account today. So what we're seeing here is our Hannah Interpreters account. So I'm kind of going to run through a little bit of what it actually is that we're seeing first. So if you were here this morning, Chris kind of went through the organization of your playbook and all of these different pieces to it. So that's kind of what you're seeing on our left side over here. So the very first thing you're seeing is actually My Desk. That's this page that we're on here. Beauty of My Desk is this is really where you go to be the student. You're sitting down at your desk, you're consuming all of the things that you need to learn to actually complete your job effectively. The following tab we're seeing right under that is the very first piece of your playbook, and that is Company. So we'll go ahead and click in there just to kind of see what it looks like on the inside. But company is designed to be your entire business identity. This is where you put your mission, your vision, your values, meet the team, all of the softwares that are used across the company. This should really teach somebody everything they need to know about your company as a whole. We have another one under that, which is our policies. So if we pop on over in here, we'll get a little sneak peek of this one. You can see one thing to point out here, and we'll work on this in a little bit, but it does say no subjects yet. So right now you have a policies page, but there's not really anything in there. So we're going to make this a little bit prettier for you. But this policies page is actually designed for all of your rules and regulations within the company. So this is what's okay at your company, what's not okay, how do we do things here? So this is really going to be all of your policy, regulation, everything you need to know in one spot. Finally, our last piece here is our processes. So our processes is really how the work is done at this company. If you ever are putting something in here and you're like, all right, well, this answers a how-to question, processes is your place to be. So this is really going to be a lot of your content. And you'll actually notice just kind of scrolling through here, it looks a little bit different than the other pages because we have a ton of subjects in here. And we have this fancy collection title up here. So collections are kind of your final piece of the puzzle when it comes to your content, in that your collections are how your creators in the account will actually organize the content. So you can kind of see it functions a little similar to a folder here. So if I kind of collapse that, you can see, all right, I have my folder of new hire content in here. All right, so we have a good understanding of our company, our policies, our processes. Again, our 3 pages for creators to organize all of their content. So let's get to the good stuff. Let's start to reorganize some of this. So the very first thing we're seeing here is this new hire collection with our subjects underneath. So one thing I kind of noticed with this is we have our subjects numbered in here 1 through 8. We see this all the time because a lot of people are thinking, hey, maybe we need to number each subject in here for easy delivery, and that way people know what order to consume. We do want to do that, but there's actually a better way. So this is my little teaser for the end of this session when we're going to get to some more information on how we can effectively do that. But the very first subject in here says, welcome to Hannah Interpreting Services. So this says to me right off the bat, hey, this is something we want somebody to get as the very first thing. Welcome to the company seems like a great subject to put in company. So the first thing we're going to do is actually toss this beautiful subject into company, but I want to make it a little bit prettier before I do that. So what we'll do is go ahead and click into our subject. And I'm thinking we need to add an emoji. So I kind of have an idea in mind of how we're going to combine their numbering system with emojis, but I want to show you some of the possible options here. So this is not cut and dry check marks, no fun. This is really where you can start to show your personality in here. So click on any of these emojis. I see the sales team use like money dollar signs and the money bags all the time. I see a lot of like IT or tech departments use the little computer icon. So feel free to use these. If you're feeling funky and you want to use a tiger in there. If you are telling the story of Tinkerbell, toss a fairy in there. That's what we like to see. It keeps it fun for you and it keeps it fun for your end users as well. But since we have those numbers, what I'm actually going to do is use our number 1 emoji. So we're still getting a similar idea here, but this way it's a little bit more visually intriguing. You have more to look at than just kind of like text on a screen. So since we added that number 1, I am going to take this number 1 out of here by clicking into this title here. And now you can see same concept of the title, but looks a little bit different because we added some more fun with that emoji. All right, so we've updated our title. I'm actually going to pop back to our processes page where this currently lives and show you a little bit more of kind of what that looks like. So you can see, same concept, our number 1, our beautiful Welcome to Hannah Interpreting Services title. And since we talked about this being some company content, I am just going to move it on over there. So one thing to mention while we're talking about that is not only is it great to move this over to company, but one beautiful thing about how this works is once you have content in here, you never have to worry about redoing it. You can move it around. You'll never have to copy and paste. If you created it once, you are in a great spot. So how we'll actually do that is we'll just come on over here to our lovely 3-dot menu. When we click into this, you'll see this move to option, and you get some awesome ideas of where you can actually put this in. And we're just going to move that straight to company. So when I click company and then move here, you'll see it's actually going to move to that page for me. So you'll kind of get that visual of what this looks like. Hey, now this is over in company, and we have the rest of the content in that new hires collection. All right, so let's follow that same process for tech we use. If you think back to the beginning of this, we talked about company could be a great place to put, hey, this is the software we use across the company. Great item to put in there. So we'll actually follow that exact same process by clicking into our subject here. We're going to add that beautiful number 2 emoji. And then we're just going to update this title. So we'll take out that 2. And now we have a very similar flow to how that welcome to the company subject looked before. So same thing, we'll pop back over here to processes, and we will click on to our more options, move to, and company. All right, so we'll move that one over. So we're off to a great start here, kind of moving some things around between like, hey, let's put some in company. So there's actually those collections that we talked about as well, because not everything is going to go into company or policies because you have a lot of how-tos in here. So one thing I want to focus on now is starting to put some more collections in place. You'll have a lot of content on this page, and you can easily drop the content that belongs under one collection all into that collection while you're actually creating it. So the first thing I'm seeing here is we have quite a few subjects that look like they could belong to like a scheduling department. So let's actually create a scheduling collection here. So first thing I'm going to do, super easy, we'll pop up here to this create collection button. We'll go ahead and click in, and then this is going to be scheduling. And I can easily see, all right, we have scheduling department. Since I don't know if I really want to scroll through this whole list, we've made it even easier for you. You can actually type your search directly in here as you're creating your collection too. So we have more scheduling and some more scheduling. So when I actually click on these, it's going to automatically put these into that scheduling collection that I'm creating right now. So we'll go ahead and click over here to create. And now we can see that our 3 scheduling subjects that we selected are living under our scheduling collection. So you can see our title up here, and we're inside of this collection. We'll actually follow that same process for accounting as well, because just kind of running through here, I'm seeing a couple different things that look like they could really belong to an accounting collection. So we'll do the same thing. We'll pop up here to the top where it says create collection. Click in here, we will add that beautiful collection title, and then same thing, we are going to use accounting collections for this. So we have accounting manual, we're going to do client relations, and then I saw one while I was peeking through here that said invoices. That definitely sounds like something for accounting. So we'll go ahead, click create here, add those to that collection. And we'll get a very similar thing to what we did with scheduling. So accounting, all of our lovely subjects in here. And then if we pop back over to this processes page, you can see it's really starting to take shape here. We have those collections, we have our subjects underneath, and it's so much easier to see what it is that we're looking for. So I am going to continue doing some work on collections and making sure everything in this specific page is well organized. While I do that, I am going to toss it over to Shawn to help answer some of the questions that we have coming through.
Yes, thank you so much. So you see this extreme makeover taking shape. This is pretty awesome. Nice job, Rachel. So yeah, I want to address a couple of these questions that come through. Awesome questions. Daniel says, hey, sometimes I have the same process or steps for 2 different roles. Now, if you create a subject and add the roles, everyone there will have access to all the topics. What is your recommendation to keep them separated? Really great question. So one of the things, our general recommendations here is going to be, when you think about your content, it's okay to go more micro than macro, right? So if you've got a process that is appropriate for this role and this role, but maybe not these other roles over here, that should really be its own little subject. And it's okay to have a little micro subject. That way you can strategically assign that subject to whoever actually needs it. Okay. So that's a better route to take than, say, making duplicates across the board, because then you've got multiple duplicates that you got to maintain. So the general recommendation there, again, go more micro, create a micro subject, and then associate it to the role or roles that actually need that bit of content. Okay. So great question, Daniel. Thank you so much for that. So Jennifer, is there a way to create custom emoji? I love that idea. That's a great one. There isn't a way to do that right now, but man, I would love to be able to create custom emojis. So if you have great enhancement ideas just like that, we'll pop this into the chat. Rach is going to pop this in for you. Trainual.com/ideas. That is our idea board. Our product design team looks at that constantly to get the ideas to incorporate into the future development of Trainual. So great ideas like that, enhancement ideas, pop those into trainual.com/ideas. All right. Love that, Jennifer. Okay, here we go. From anonymous attendee. If you wanted to use multiple emojis in the title, such as two as the image and a palm tree to indicate a PTO process, can you do that? So on the subject title itself, there's only one emoji available. Okay, but here's a little hack. When you're typing the actual title, that's just a text field. So you could use multiple emojis in that text field, no problem. Okay. So you use your built-in emoji on your computer, you can add those in very easily. So there you go. Very easy to do that. Here are a couple others coming up here, Rachel. Then I'm going to kick it back over to you. All right. So what's the purpose or value of having content broken down into company, policy, and process? Such a great question. Why would we actually do that? Well, we view Trainual as a whole as your company playbook, right? So if you want to think about it in terms of that old school binder that's probably sitting on a desk somewhere, kind of dusty, right? And it has all those tabs in it. That whole thing is your playbook. It's your manual, right? So we wanted to break it down in very specific, clear ways to access that content and to search for that content. So ultimately, if I want to see all my processes in one place, I have the processes page. If I want to see all of my processes themselves, and again, Rachel is showing you here how to use collections to even divide those down into very specific groups. That's a way to do that. So we wanted to be more targeted in how we divide out the content. And one thing I'll share this, something we discovered here in Trainual when we made this switch last year after Playbook, was we had some policies and some processes that were sort of smushed together. So we've been intentional about sort of separating those out. So we have our policies in one place, and then the processes that are tied directly to some of those policies, we were able to link them through permalinks. And that's something we can share a little bit later as well. So that's just kind of a high level overview of the reason is just to be very, very clear about the different types of content as part of our playbook and make it a lot easier for people to find and access. Okay. Great question. All right. Can a process live in multiple collections? Only one at this point in time, one collection. Can you help me do this in my account? Yes, we can absolutely help you with that. We're going to share a little bit more details about that at the end of this. All right. Does every Trainual account have the option to add emoji to the subject line? Yes, every Trainual account has that option. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over on to you, Rachel, to continue on, and we'll answer some of these questions a little bit later.
Awesome. Sounds great. Shawn, thank you so much for answering everybody's questions. So want to kind of look through what it is that we did here. So now you can see, instead of having a long list of a bunch of different subject titles that are all kind of jumbled together, we have these beautiful collections in here. So there's actually a couple different things that this does. Now that we have these collections built, look at how easy it is for your subject matter experts to work in silos. If I work in human resources, it is so easy for me now to pop in here and be like, oh, human resources, here's all of my content. It makes everything so much easier to find what it is you're looking for, update a process if you need to, or even change something in somebody else's department if that's kind of been put on your plate. So certainly makes things easier moving forward. And the other thing that you can actually do with collections now in place is check out this ungrouped section at the bottom. So this is going to be a collection of all of your subjects that haven't been put into a collection that you've created. This is kind of like you're floating around, maybe need a little bit of attention. One really cool thing with this is that it makes it super easy to see, oh, okay, well, maybe these subjects go in policies, or maybe these ones go in company. So some of the things I'm seeing here, very first thing, we have a translation department, welcome to the company. So we're going to move that one to company, just like we did earlier. So we'll go ahead and click on here. One other thing to note here is you notice this list got a lot longer because now if I'm moving something, I can very easily just move it to the associated collection. So we'll toss that one into company here. There's a couple others that I'm seeing in that ungrouped section that look like they might go somewhere else. So we'll go ahead and toss those in as well. If we scroll down, I think I saw an employee policies, and I think that's a prime contender to hop into policies. So we'll go ahead and click move to and shoot that one on over to policies. All right, there's certainly a few more that I think could go into both company and policy. So we're going to kind of talk through doing some of that and talk through why those go there. So there's another one. Let's see, we have one that is team members' favorite things. Where did that go? There it is. So Hannah interpreting team favorite things. This seems like it's introducing me to the team. So I think this is another great contender to head on over to company. What a great introduction for your new hire is to not just say like, hey, here's our team members. These are their names and their photos. No, let's talk about them. Let's meet them. If we're not in person, we really want to meet them virtually. So gives a great introduction to some of those team members that you'll be working with. There's a couple others in here. Let's see. We have a new hire agenda overview. That could be another great one. The first thing I'm seeing here, this probably looks like it will go to my HR. So let's go ahead and toss that into human resources. We created that a little bit earlier, makes it super easy to figure out where it goes. There's two more I want to focus on. I just keep seeing more and more that I want to move around as I'm actually going through this. So you kind of see how our brains start to work when we're doing this. Let's see. We had disciplinary forms and progressive action. Sounds like a rule and regulation to me, so we're going to stick that one in policies. We'll go ahead and move that one over. And then I'll pick one more, so that way you guys don't have to watch me move everything. I'm just getting really excited here.
Hey, Rachel, while you're doing that, I got a question that came in as a clarification. I think you're answering as you're showing this. The question was, Rachel mentioned never needing to copy and paste, but need to clarify that topics can't be moved. I had to duplicate, then move, then delete original topic or step. So what we're showing you here is that these subjects can be moved around, but that same type of functionality actually exists inside those individual subjects. So you can open up the subject, hit the little arrow next to a subject, drop it down. Yeah, you can do there. You can see even at the topic level, there's the 3-dot menu on the right. You can move a topic from one subject to another. You can do the same thing with steps, from one subject to another topic very easily that way. So you are able to move things around, which again, is going to help you to not have to duplicate the content, which is something we probably shy away from as much as possible.
Yes. I always use the terminology. I'm like, just kind of think of all of this as a puzzle piece. If you have the puzzle piece, you're not going to have to like go create a new one. You just got to move it around until it fits for what you're looking for here. So all of that is completely movable. Shawn, thank you for bringing that up because that is one of my favorite things when it comes to reorganizing content is that you don't have to do the hard work again. All right, so one other thing to think about while we're on this page, and that is that lovely new hire collection we had at the very beginning. So I'm going to do something a little scary here. I'm actually going to delete it. I know people get freaked out about clicking that trash can icon, but don't worry. This collection still exists in a way that, like, hey, all of our new hire content is together and we're going to send it out to somebody. But that is actually with roles, which we kind of teased a little bit and we will get into in just a second. So like I said, this is empty. Let's click on that delete icon and we will just go ahead and delete it. Ripping off the Band-Aid here, no worries. All right, so now we have no more empty collections in here. We have these beautiful collections based on our content. Everything is well organized. It all fits together. It's so easy to find what it is that I'm looking for. While we're on here, I'm just going to toss it out there since we're talking about reorganizing. You can change the orders of these too. So if you're like, hey, I want these in a different order, this doesn't work for me, drag and drop, super easy to move these around, whatever works best for you. All right, I gave you a ton of content on this processes page. We made collections, we moved things around to company and policies. We talked about how to move topics. We changed the order of collections. I threw a ton at you. So what questions can I help answer before I take you to roles?
All right, I'm going to hit some of these questions that have come through, and please feel free to keep adding those questions to the Q&A there. We'll be answering those as they come in. So here we go. What's the best solution for wanting to put the same topic in two collections? For example, if you want something in a new hire, onboarding, and company, how do you recommend getting around that? So I'll take a stab at this, and Rachel, you can hop in here as well. But as far as consider your collections to be the groupings of related content and not necessarily how you would assign them to people. Okay. We're going to get into a little bit more about that in just a few moments. So if you want something to really to be addressed in both areas, use the roles and assigning to do that. Otherwise, just kind of determine a general collection area, general topic area that those subjects would fall into and group them that way. We have, for example, I'll give you an example here at Trainual, we have our customer experience as our customer experience department content, right? That has a lot of content that most of it is originated from the customer experience team. But there are other teams, other people across the company that utilize some of that content from product, in other words, but it still resides in the CX collection, but it's assigned to other people through different roles on the product team or on the marketing team and so on. So that's what I'm being more specific about. Get that content into a one specific collection, but then use the roles to actually assign it out. And again, Rachel's going to show you how to do that in just a few moments. Okay. Let's see. Hope Rachel will show us what this looks like for a user. Yes, we will absolutely show you what this looks like from the user perspective in a little bit. Can you create your own templates for each process that make it easy to not have to repeat steps from scratch? Absolutely. Create a subject that has everything the way you want it. Slap a title on there, says template, and there's your template. Then anytime you want to use that subject, that template, go over to the far right. Maybe, Rachel, you can show this on the screen next to a subject. You hit the 3-dot menu next to a subject, and then you can duplicate it as many times as you need to. We do that all the time. We create a subject, we're like, yeah, that looks nice. I want to use that again, right? And kind of tweak it for a different need. So yeah, that's a great way to do that. You create your own templates that way. If you're a general user with edit content access, I don't think that they have a view for this only in the card. So it's harder to move across the subjects they may have permission to edit. Okay. Can they move content easily, topics and steps across subjects? So as we mentioned a few moments ago, subjects, topics, steps, any of those things can be moved very easily, either via drag and drop or by using the move tool over on the far right-hand side. Okay. You did also mention a really good point that general users don't see company policies, processes listed over on the left-hand side, right? They actually can see where the content that they've been assigned resides. Rachel, can you pop over to the My Desk page just real quick for us?
Sure can.
Sweet. We're going to see some of this already happening. So you see on the bottom half of the page, you've got the different cards. Each of those cards is a subject, and each of those subjects has actually kind of two headers. The first header is in that blue color. that is the page that it lives on. So you can see company, you can see policy is there. If a process subject has been placed inside of a collection, the collection name shows up. So you can see interpreter intelligence. There's the collection, the collection that process lives in. So your team members are able to see where that content is classified, what type of content it is right there. Okay. So really great question right there. Thank you. All right, a couple more, and then I'm going to throw it back over to you, Rachel. So here's one from Dan. Can you explain your thought process for grouping a subject and company policy or process? Okay, I think we addressed that a little bit, but essentially kind of going back to what Rachel did at the very beginning, anything that was just basic company information. So about us, team information, core values, sales methodology, those kinds of things that will go on a company page. It's just general company information. Think about it. And I like this, Rachel, how you talk about this, basically your onboarding, what you want everyone to know, right? When they start with you. From then on, if it's a guideline, a rule, a compliance thing, that's a policy. Place that in the policy area. And then everything else that really relates to how you do things, that goes in processes. So that's kind of our decision tree, if you will, going on down. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pop this back over to you, Rachel, to continue on here. And again, we'll continue answering these questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Shawn, for helping out with all of those questions.
You bet.
All right. So we have some beautiful organization in here, like we talked about. So we've teased it a couple times, and now we're finally going to talk about roles. Roles are one of the most powerful tools you have in here for really bringing this thing whole circle, creating that experience for your new hire, for your employee that's been here for 15 years, but still asks you the same question. This is really where we're going to take this full circle. So roles allow you to bulk assign content to groups of people that share similar responsibilities. So you can kind of think of roles as the different hats you wear in your business. So maybe at one point you're wearing a new hire hat, and once you are kind of over that new hire hat, maybe then you're wearing a scheduling hat and a recruiting hat. You can wear both at the same time. You can be assigned both roles at the same time. What that will actually do is ensure that you have access to the correct content to complete all of your responsibilities. So we're actually going to start working in this scheduling role here, and then we're going to pop into the new hire role. So we can kind of show you both sides of this, the creation and the delivery. So this scheduling role here, very first thing we see, the actual title of the role up here. I actually want to enter a description. I really want to encompass everything that a role is here. So if I enter the role description, I can do this by clicking on our little edit pencil. We'll enter in our description to say, hey, this is really a description of what our scheduling team members do. After that, we're going to get more specific. So we're actually adding responsibilities to this. So responsibilities are a really great way to bring your content full circle with your people. So the beauty of these is that on your people's profile, they'll actually see the roles and the responsibilities as well as the subjects you've assigned to them. Those subjects will actually teach them how to do these responsibilities. So they're really getting this all-encompassing view of, oh, okay, these are my responsibilities. This is my content. This teaches me how to do this. So you're really seeing everything all in one spot here. So let's actually create some responsibilities for that scheduling department. So maybe more than likely, they're in charge of scheduling appointments. So we'll go ahead and add a quick responsibility here. We'll click create. And I am going to guess that they're likely in charge of responding to last minute appointment needs as well. So we'll create another responsibility. And then finally, they are in charge of communicating daily with our schedulers. So we are going to toss that in there as well. So now we have our role title, our description of what it is they do, what they're in charge of doing, but how are they learning how to do this? So those are our subjects, and that is what we'll toss down here. So we spent a little bit of time earlier kind of creating some of those collections, and now now, not only are they useful on your process page, but they're actually useful when it comes to assigning out this content to that role as well. And I'll show you why. That is because if I click manage, I can really easily see what is in that scheduling collection. So I don't even have to go through here and search that title anymore. Now I see it right in front of me. I can select what goes in this scheduling role and therefore what they will be in charge of. So super easy to figure out what is going to what role. So we'll go ahead and add our 3 scheduling subjects. And when I click Save Changes, now you're getting this beautiful all-encompassing view. We have our role, which is scheduling, what they're in charge of, how they learn to complete those responsibilities, so the things they are in charge of doing, all of their training on that. And then you also have this beautiful view down here of the people that are doing all of the things that you're seeing in other areas on this screen. So you can see my entire scheduling team is down here. All of these people will automatically have access to these subjects because they are on the scheduling team. So it really gives you this great view. And I'm actually going to pop into that new hire role as well, because I think it's really important to talk about that, because we did hit that delete button on the new hire collection, and that can be a little bit scary, but I'm actually going to show you how that group of subjects for your new hires still exist. It's just a little bit different now. So I'll go ahead and pop up here to new hire. And we're getting a very, very similar idea to what our previous collection was, in that we have our new hire title up here. We have all of those subjects that we send out to our new hires, but now they're broken up in the corresponding areas. So you remember these 2 we actually moved over to company. We have a couple other ones that live in different areas. So this one we know is actually being created and is kind of owned by the scheduling department. So it lives in that scheduling collection. We have accounting manual for new hires. That one's owned by our accounting department. It's in their collection. They know where to find it, but we're making sure that it's going out to all of our new hires. So even though we actually deleted that collection title earlier, it still exists, just in a different form. The other beautiful thing about having it in your role is that it makes it so much easier to actually send out all of that content to your people. So now if I have somebody who's a new hire, super easy, I can add them in here. Since they're attached to this new hire role, that means they're automatically receiving all of the associated new hire content. So instead of previously how we had it, it all kind of like lived in one area, but we kind of had to click through them and figure out like, all right, they're a new hire, so I'm manually assigning these 8 pieces of content. Now it's a one and done type of deal. So you just add them in, add them as a new hire, and you have the peace of mind to know that they're getting everything they need to know as that new employee. So roles, as you may have figured out, are very, very powerful. They're really going to connect everything that it is that you're doing, not only in here, but also at your business, the responsibilities that that person is in charge of, what's actually been documented in regards to those responsibilities. So even as a content creator, I'm actually going to pop back over to that scheduling role so we can kind of look at what we're talking about here. Even as a content creator, the beauty of this is, let's say, hey, I'm just kind of starting out. I don't have all of my subjects in here yet, but I know the responsibilities that these roles are in charge of. You can actually start to add all of those responsibilities in, and that gives you a great checklist all in one place to say, oh, hey, I haven't documented how to communicate daily with the schedulers. Now I know it's right in front of me, super easy to go in there and actually add that content. So it gives you kind of a way to check your work as well and see, all right, what is it that we're actually creating? What is it that we need to still work on? All right.
I'm going to hop in real quick, Rachel,
Good.
if you don't mind, because I need to shout out Travis Mong in the chat here. He brought a great point here. He said, this will be great when building out the future organizational chart to match our 3-year painted vision. I love that. The way you're thinking about using those roles to start mapping out the future for your team, for your company, that's amazing. You start thinking about it, because none of us want to stay as small as we are. We want to kind of start to grow and scale, right? And if you can start to identify, okay, these are the roles, these are the hats that we wear. Eventually, I want to have this hat this hat and give it to someone else down the road, you can start building that out now. Build out what those hats are, build out what the responsibilities are, start building out the content you're going to need for those hats. And then when that time comes to hand the hat over to the new person, you've already got it built out. So Travis, I love what you're thinking there. That was fantastic. So way to go on that one. Had to shout you out on that.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Shawn. I am actually going to run through on screen kind of how to create one of these from scratch. So while I do that, if there's any other questions you want to answer, I would love it if you would do that.
All right, sounds good. There's a few questions that have come through on the chat and the Q&A, so thanks for keep popping those in. Let's see. Will there be functionality to move modules to levels beyond or within collections? We showed you a few ways to move things out or through there. So let me know if we haven't answered that question fully at this point. I think we have. Travis, again, so we have a home service company. Would you recommend all the service experts be under the same trainings, or should you break it down for each business unit? So Travis, what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to defer that question and kind of plug something that we do. That's a great question. That's going to be probably really specific to the way you're using Trainual and with your teams. That's something we'd love to work with you one-on-one with. So success coaches, Rach and I, you can set up a one-on-one with a success coach. We'll take a look at your content together. We'll talk about the specific things you're in need of right now and help you identify what the best strategies would be moving forward. That we would love to do that. And again, if you are tied to a customer success manager like Rachel or Will, then you can hit them up as well, and they would love to have that conversation with you. That way we can get really nitty-gritty with your specific content. That's something we do for every one of our customers, okay? So let us know. That would be amazing. All right, I'm going to jump down some more questions here. How would you include responsibilities a team member sometimes might do, but not always? Would you still assign them a responsibility just to be safe, even if they only need it from now and then? You know, we actually have a little function for that called other responsibilities that a user, if there's things that they do from time to time, you can add the other responsibilities right inside their own profile. And so that's something you're able to do. And again, it doesn't tie directly back to specific content, but that it would be a way to address that one as well. So right inside the content, there it is. Thank you, Rachel. Perfect visual. There you go. All right. Can you create sub roles? Example, strategists that all have similar responsibilities, but then a sub role for campaign strategists, social media strategists, creative strategists. Love that. Yes, absolutely. We actually do that here at Trainual. Let me give you a quick example. I mentioned earlier, we have a role called customer experience. That's everyone on the customer experience team. There are quite a few people, 10, 12 people on that team right now. Well, everyone gets that content, the customer experience content. But within that department, we have different roles, different positions, customer success manager, for example, and success coach. And so we have roles for those specific job titles within the customer experience department. We even have more specialized roles. Like we have one called webinar facilitator. That's a role inside of Trainual. And that role gets given to someone who's going to be doing things like this, doing webinars. And so, yes, absolutely. You can create sub roles. And going back to what Rachel said earlier, there's no limit to the number of roles that someone can have. Remember, think about it in terms of hats, right? We can have multiple hats, and that allows us to be really strategic about which content we assign to people based on what they do. So yes, that is a great idea. Create sub roles in there. Again, there's no limit to the number of roles that people can have. You see how powerful roles can be? They're like my favorite thing. Everyone here knows that roles are my favorite thing. All right. New hire content. Do we need to manually roll it out like week 1, week 2, et cetera? Or is there a way to have this scheduled to go out? There's not a way to schedule content right now inside of Trainual. That's something we are interested in looking at. Trainual.com/ideas. Let us hear your votes on that one. But you could potentially use roles to do that kind of a rollout as well. Create a week 1 role, week 2 role, week 3 role. And again, as soon as you assign the role, they get that level of content. We actually do that here at Trainual as well. That's a good way to do some scheduling. Courtney, what are examples of what you use other responsibilities for at Trainual? Great. So I think I just gave you one like webinar facilitator. There's a bunch of them over on the product team that we could kind of share out. But that's a good again other ideas there, for other responsibilities. So basically anything that's a specific responsibility of a team, if there's enough content there that there should be actually content assigned to it, then maybe it's more less of responsibility and more of an actual role, right? Awesome. All right. Looks like that's all that's come through on the Q&A. I know Rach is manning the chat, so I'm going to pass it back on over to you, Rachel.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Well, I think it's about time that we move that bus. I'm going to give a brief recap. We talked through company. We moved some of our subjects over there that really needed to be there. We talked through our policies, our rules, our regulations. We moved all of the corresponding subjects into our policies. And we talked through our processes. We created some beautiful collections in there. We added some subjects into all of those collections. Then we talked about how we really deliver this beautiful organization we've just created through our roles. So now that we've done all of that and we were working in the account that whole time to actually do this live, I want to move that bus for you. So without further ado, let's see what this really looks like come to life. So this one over here is the original version. This is what our My Desk looked like. We have new hires above some of them, and then we have some subject titles. Now we have these beautiful emojis. We have company, we have policy, we have collection titles, as well as our subject titles. And then if we actually go into some of these creator tools like company on each of them, we'll see that they look a little bit different now. So now we have this beautiful list of all things in company. We have some emojis added here. This is what we previously saw before we started moving some things around. So same thing with policies. If you remember, when we first saw that policies page, that was totally empty. It just said, hey, no subjects yet. So now you're seeing we actually have all of our policies in here as opposed to the blank page that we were previously seeing. And then finally, we have our processes. So previously we had that one collection specifically for our new hires, and all 8 of our new hire subjects were in there just like this. And then everything else we had was all in ungrouped. A little bit hard to filter through, but we took that, we created some collections. We really organized these by how they go together. We made sure all of the trainings that are related to each other all live in that same area. And it's so much easier to go in and say, hey, today I'm working on scheduling content. I know exactly where to go. So I appreciate everybody watching this extreme makeover with me. If this was thrilling to you, I want you to know that me and Shawn and our other success team members over here, this is our bread and butter. This is what we do day in and day out every single day. If you are super excited about this, or even if you're not and you want this done to your account, we can totally do that for you. So go ahead and shoot us a message at support@trainual.com. Let us know, hey, I saw the makeover and I want that done to my account. I want mine to look this good. And we're more than happy to help out doing that. So again, thank you everybody for joining me. I am actually going to toss it over to Shawn.
So Cindy from Hannah Interpreters is on this call right now. So, I mean, we're really being held to task here that we have accomplished what we needed to do here. And she just threw an emoji with star eyes up there, Rachel. So nice job. I think you did it. You did a great job here. Everybody, can you give a good shout out to Rachel for her brains and smart and quick moving hands and to build this and do this extreme makeover? There we go. Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and grab it here on my end. I'm going to share my screen. First of all, I mean, this little session we just did here, we did a lot of moving things around, and we did creating a bunch of stuff. And I saw a couple of comments in there like, oh, I'm kind of a little lost. I need help on this. As Rachel said, we are here to help. In fact, that's one thing, that's a theme that I hope that you have already captured and that you will continue to see from us here at Trainual. Our entire goal here, our big goal on the customer success team, customer experience team, is to help you to learn how to do this yourself. right? We're going to guide you through guides, through videos, through tutorials, through one-on-one coaching sessions, all these things we want to do to help you to continue to be able to create and do your own makeover in your account. Now, again, we're here to help if you want some help, but that is one of our very big goals, is to empower you to be able to do this on your own. So I'm really excited about 2 opportunities that I get to share with you. One of them you may already know about. Maybe you've already participated in. If not, I'm really excited to let you know about. This is super awesome training design. So this is a session that I run every single Thursday. And if any of you on the call here have participated in this session, throw some love there in the chat if it was helpful to you. Okay. During super awesome training design, what we're going to do is we're going to help you take this content that's been reorganized the way Rachel has just done. And now we're going to take a look at the actual content itself and how it gets delivered to your team members. We're going to talk about how to use multimedia effectively. We're going to talk about how to build activities in there so that people are not only seeing and reading, but actually doing the things that you're teaching them how to do. That helps enormously with retention. And we're going to do it in a really fun way and engaging ways that people actually maybe want to do this. In fact, even tests. What? People might want to do tests. Yes, if it helps them to understand, and we can do some fun things within tests as well. So I'm going to show you how to do all those things more effectively, throw in some adult learning design principles in there. We're going to have a great time in that session. Like I said, I do that every single Thursday. Rach is going to pop this into the chat, a link to register for this session. We have a recorded version for those of you who may not be able to join on the live version on Thursday. So check that out. I'd love to see you there. It's a live session. We're going to have a lot of fun. Hop on there, chat, have a good time. Right? Second opportunity. You heard Chris talk about this and announce this morning. I'm so excited about this. This is something we've been wanting to get off the ground for so long, and it is finally here. Our platform certification. So we're going to teach you the way we teach our team members here how to use Trainual. Okay. So we're going to take you in. Now, if you participated in things like the TQA, the Training and QA Live with Rach, if you've done the guides, if you've checked out our help docs, if you've done that little guide throughs when you first started using Trainual, those give you the wheels to get started. What we're going to do in the certification is really jump into the nitty gritty of the different parts of Trainual, the different functions and features. So this is going to be one subject in a Trainual account called Trainual U. That's right. You're going to join the Trainual U, and you're going to be able to complete one subject. It's going to have activities in there for you to do. So not only are you going to learn them, see the theme here, you're going to actually be doing them in your accounts. We're going to give you some homework to go do, and it's going to make your accounts that much better. Okay. And this will all take probably about an hour of instruction plus a little, maybe an hour or 2 more, just depending on what you've already built or what you will need to build, what you want to build inside your account as a result of completing that certification. Okay. So once you complete that certification, we're going to give you, okay, the digital badge and some swag. Trust the process t-shirt. We'll hand that out to you. But that digital certification badge will go, you can go on your LinkedIn profile. It can go on your email address. It can go on your email signature. It can go on your website. You can send it to your mom and just be really proud of that awesome certification you did. Now, teaser, this is level 1. That means eventually there's going to be more. That's right. We're going to be building some more into this. There's going to be some great things to learn in the future at Trainual U. So here's what you do. If this sounds interesting, you're like, yeah, get me on this right now. Go to trainual.com/get certified. And Rach is going to pop that into the chat for us. And that way you can go ahead and sign up for that. Here's the way it's going to go down. You'll sign up. I will get those signups, and we're going to go through the weekend. On Monday morning, you will receive your email, and you will be able to enter the doors of Trainual U and begin completing your certification course. And again, as Chris mentioned, this is absolutely free. This is everyone gets to join on this. So please take advantage of that. I will be your guide all the way through it. Be happy to support you. If you need one-on-one help, let me know. I'll help you all the way through it. Really, really, really excited about releasing the platform certification level 1 out to you today. So there you go. Thank you so much.